Hi, I'm Dennis Weiss. Welcome to our town. We're at Garfield School, and we've got a couple members from the community who are going to talk to us today about the USD 435 facilities upgrade that will be in front of our community. What we have is a worn-out physician over on the left. Some people call it retired. Steve Schwarting, how you doing?
Just fine, Dennis. How are you today?
I'm great. And we have Tori Barrett, who's the director of the Abilene Area Chamber of Commerce and has volunteered to be on the Citizens Committee.
I have. Hey, Dennis.
So we're going to have hopefully some fun, although most of the time I spend with Steve Schwarting has not been all that fun.
That's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad, but it hasn't been fun, Steve. You got to just think about that a minute. So I know both of you are involved in our community in many ways. And so my first question about this issue is, why did you choose this issue to get engaged in and be in front of the public to talk about? Steve?
Well, my main interest is my children and my family. And my wife and I raised our 4 children here in Abilene and saw the level of education that they had, saw how they used the different facilities over the years that they were educated. And they have, I think, by all standards, pretty successful kids. Now we have grandkids in the facilities, and I want to see for them the same kind of quality education. But I think that spreads to all of the children in the community, that if we can provide good, safe, livable facilities for them to gain an education that will serve them throughout their life, that's what we should do. And I don't think there's anything we should invest in anymore that's any more important than education, because that's a future for our country, our state, our community. Wherever they live, they need to have a good basis for life.
Okay, Tori, same question.
Yes, my reasons for being involved in the Citizens Committee and kind of the Kids Committee, as it's been called, to keep improving district schools is what KIDS stands for, is kind of twofold. Like you mentioned earlier, my position in Abilene is the Chamber of Commerce Director, and our main goal as a Chamber of Commerce is to promote local business and to promote chamber members, which school district is not only a chamber member, but it is a huge local business, and it brings in a lot of people and does wonders for the community and the economy. And the other kind of facet of why I chose to be involved is my upbringing. I was raised by a teacher. My dad's taught in the Harrington School District for 15 years and kind of taught 10, 15 years before that. And my mom has been on a school board in Harrington for about 6 years or 7 years. So I've kind of grown up with the education system and been really interested in the education system and seeing what both good schools and maybe not as updated schools can do for kids in both the positives and the negatives, and just really wanted to be involved in Abilene updating their schools.
Tori, I work with you on the Abilene Area Chamber of Commerce, and a year and a half ago or so, we did a long-range planning before we hired you, and we accomplished that as a group, and then we took it out into the community, and Dave Dillner at the city pulled some people together, and we got some community perspective into that. But really, the #1 goal that came out of all of that was to help existing businesses prosper. Instead of fishing for the mythical whale that's swimming up the creek, we said we wanted to work with what we had today and to help it grow. Well, looking at that mission statement and USD 435 facilities upgrade, from a Chamber of Commerce seat, what is a Chamber of Commerce perspective on USD 435 facilities upgrade and the growth of Abilene?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with that, the goal, helping existing businesses grow and prosper. And the school district is one of the largest existing businesses in the town. We have 5 attendance centers, and that, if I believe I'm correct, is 3 elementary schools, a middle school and a high school, and that is a lot more kids than went to my school. I grew up and there was 30 kids in my class. Well, Abilene has a lot more than that. Those kids are running around town, they're spending money in town, and the way that the school can help that, and if they grow their schools, is they grow their ability to educate those children, and they grow their ability to give the kids all the opportunities that even larger schools than Abilene can provide, just because of school size or funding size or town size. And the fact that Abilene can use their existing school district to produce the already amazing kids that they are producing is great. But the fact, if we look in the future and could see what better could come out of, you know, an updated school. Or I'm kind of cold in the gym and kids have to eat in here, so maybe having a warm lunch instead of a cold lunch, you know, that's a really small random tidpoint, but to think how that could expand and grow the kids and, you know, just produce great people is, I mean, the opportunities are endless there. You can't really stop.
Okay, thanks. Steve, the last time I think I talked to you on camera was probably about a train, but I think you have been on camera with me concerning another issue pretty similar, and that is when the community was deciding how to invest in a hospital and what those issues were surrounding that. And I talked to a lot of people about how do you attract new doctors to the community, how do you, new healthcare professionals, but doctors were the key issue. And Mark Miller, Frank Jordan, and yourself, I spoke to all of you about that, and everybody said the same thing. You have to compete for these people. So if you look at the other businesses, one of which you're pretty familiar with, as you went through that process of healthcare, how important is it for the other businesses, including healthcare in a community, to have a vibrant school, and how do these issues that's in front of us today relate to that?
Well, I think like healthcare, it's the school system and the healthcare system are a foundation of the community that allows other businesses and other people to come here and live here. And I know of instances of people that work in surrounding larger cities that want to live here so that their kids can go to a smaller school and get more of a hands-on education than they might in another place. As a hospital board, we faced an issue with our hospital, our present hospital, and remodeling it that's pretty similar to the Garfield School here. And that is, you can only remodel so many ways, and then you really reach a limit for what your size will allow. And I know in the hospital, even if we put $15 million into the old hospital, we still wouldn't be in compliance with current standards because of ceiling heights and some things like that. And we were able then to plan from the ground up a new inpatient facility, and at the same time plan for renovating the old facility into doctor's offices and clinical areas and stuff. I think the updates that are going to occur to the buildings, not only the new elementary school that would be built to replace Garfield, but the updates to Kennedy and McKinley and the middle school that addresses that security issue that seems to make the news every week. Another kid goes off, takes a gun to school, shoots somebody, shoots two persons. Roswell, New Mexico, it just happened there. You'd never pick Roswell off the national map and say this is where an in-school incident is going to, was going to occur. Well, the same thing with Abilene. I was talking to, I happened to be at McKinley yesterday and was talking to Tom Schwartz yesterday, and we all know how many guns there are in Abilene and how many potential situations could arise from that. And so I think the updates address that security issue and makes it for a safer environment, which then promotes people in the community feeling comfortable and sending their schools in the buildings every day, every week during the school year.
You know, you look at the security issue, and I looked a little bit at the plans, and it really boils down to controlling access to schools, and most all of the buildings have multiple entrances today. Some of them have no way to view those entrances with a person. And the planning seems to be addressed at correcting that problem. You can only do what you can do in security unless you want to give up all of your freedoms. But the reality of it is there are some common sense things you can do when you're addressing your building, and especially renovating it. I think it's simply a fact of life that we have to spend money on security. If we don't, we remove the answer to the question, I did all I could.
Yeah.
And if we don't do all we can, that's regrettable.
The other issue that I'd like to address, if it's okay, is the gym and the auditorium.
Sure.
Because when my kids went through school and they graduated, our twins graduated 21 or 22 years ago, they were up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to the high school for freshman basketball, boys basketball practice. And that gym was used then continually until about 8 o'clock at night, at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night, when the last varsity team practiced in it. That didn't seem fair. every time we drive from the high school to the community center to go into a small gym like we did last week and watch the junior varsity boys play on the small court, much like the junior varsity girls would play and stuff, I'd say. And then we go to another community of comparable size, probably comparable school system, and you walk from one side of the building to the other, and here's another gym. It doesn't have to be a fancy gym like the gym in Clay Center is, like a Morton building gym. But boy, does it function well as a way that you can go back and forth between the two basketball games. I know that I think 2 weekends ago there were 350 kids that came to a kids wrestling meet in our gym. Well, that overloads that system. But as we know, there were 350 kids with parents and brothers and sisters buying meals, staying here, using the community, and that gave them a safe opportunity to do their kids wrestling. And there could be other instances of things like that. We could expand the use of the facilities. It's not going to be there and just look pretty. It's going to be used heavily a lot of the time. I'd
like to editorialize a little bit and have you both respond to this because you brought it up, and it's really about athletics. I have had conversations with a lot of folks about schools over a lot of years now, gray hair and all. So, you know, back when I was playing in high school to today, and it never changes. There are people who kind of understand the benefits of athletics in an educational system, and there are those that simply don't. I'd like to try to cross that divide a little bit. You can look at athletics as athletics and just fun, but that's a choice. But it's my position on it is it's bigger than that. Education has wrapped itself around athletics rather well in school systems like ours, not the other way around. Even though that athletics may seem to be on a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon the dominant activity, it's simply not the case. They're in class Monday through Friday for 8 hours a day, and then they practice their athletic skill that they're going to perform on Friday night or Saturday night. But that's not much different than going to a forensics tournament. It's not much different than going to a stage performance. Here's the difference. We wish in any business that your inputs could be identical and your outputs could be identical. Widget in, widget out, make money. Well, we have people here. People are not the same. They have different interests. They have different levels of abilities to do things, and you never know what inspires a young person to strive for excellence. Athletes often look back through their life and will tell you what made the difference for them was somebody along the way who taught them about excellence, and they did it either on the football field, the basketball court, or any of those other things that athletes do. Yet they took that striving for excellence and they took it into a professional life, and now they're a doctor. But they understood the problem and the solution by learning it on the court. Comment?
I think what my kids talked about was, and what I was always pleased with, was the interactions they had, not on particularly the basketball court or on the football field, but with the coaches. And when I look at the coaches' teams, whether it's for boys sports, girls sports, it doesn't make a difference. Or I look at the music, the influence that the conductors and the directors of the music program have, because that's what I did in my large high school was music. They had a tremendous effect on my life as far as dealing with each other and dealing with people and aspiring to have those kinds of values. And that's outside of what normally people would think is the athletic parts. I think for the kids to be part of a team, to have success, to have failure, to share with each other, that's so much more nebulous than we lost 5 games and won 6. You know, that's the experience, I think, in American education that makes us well-rounded and makes us part of the community throughout the rest of our lives. And that's what school should be. It should be a preparation for the rest of our lives.
Tori, from an economic standpoint, Chamber of Commerce leader, Friday afternoons, Saturdays, kids tournaments, what's the difference between doing nothing, continuing on the way we are today, and using a facilities upgrade to do more? What do you think?
Well, kind of to speak to what Steve said a little earlier, the kids right now, there is the facility and, you know, they use the high school gym and then they go to the community center, which is a great facility too. But if you add another gym to that, which is part of the facilities upgrade, you've just added a whole new source of revenue, a whole new venue for people to come. You can host larger tournaments, whether it be for academia purposes, you know, the different forensics and debates that need larger space, whether it be for athletic purposes. You've added an entire new venue to do that. And, you know, doing nothing when people are coming to town, whether you're a business or someone who's trying to get involved, doing nothing will yield nothing. You know, you have to do something to yield something. Even if it's not as much as you expected, it's still better than that 0 that you were looking at before. And talking about the kids wrestling coming in, the chamber did something for that. You know, we recognized that the possibility of 350 kids coming in is 350 sets of parents. That's 700. Each kid brings a sibling with them, whether or not the kid wanted to come with, you know, to watch their brother or sister. That's 350 more. So you've got over 1,000 people that are in Abilene. And if there's young kids with them, or, you know, like me and my mom, wrestling wasn't our favorite thing to go watch, but we went and watched my brother. If we knew that there was shopping to go do while he was in his 6-hour breaks, we would go shop. If we knew there was eating to do, we would go eat. So the chamber a couple weeks ago capitalized on that and my past experience in talking to different people, and we created a flyer that said, here's where you can shop in town, here's where you can eat in town, here's where you can go visit in town, and included the hours with them. So that those people that were sitting there waiting on their kid to wrestle, or maybe had you know, enough, or maybe a small kid that can only be entertained by a gym and wrestling for so long, they had that opportunity to look at that flyer and go. So all those businesses that were listed on the flyer had the opportunity to grow from that because of the people that came into town. And so that was just done. We brought over 1,000 kids in, and that's great. Add a gym to that, and you're looking at possibly double. Who would refuse possibility of 2,000 people coming to Abilene, spending money, and growing economically? Who's going to say no to that?
Not me.
Not me.
As a business owner, I don't think you could find a restaurant owner, a hotel owner, or a car dealer, or any downtown shop that needs to attract people from their storefront that wouldn't think doubling the number of people who drive down our roads looking for something to do is anything but great.
I agree.
Okay, so people know your faces. They see you around town. You're willing to be talked to on the street, at the store, wherever they find you, I assume?
That's correct.
Okay. Other things that I guess I want to use you to as an example for, I think there were 60 people at the organizational meeting I went to, all people who raised their hand and volunteered to do something. I think that's extraordinary. But I want to finish off and close this segment by saying we've been working at Eagle Communications on economic revitalization in our community on this Our Town show for a while now, a long while. I think the most momentum I've ever seen in the city of Abilene and the surrounding area about all people wanting positive movement in a particular direction, it's right now.
Yeah.
I think the county's engaged, the city's engaged, the school district's engaged, and a lot of people are showing up to meetings within all of that to say, we want to find a way to help grow our community because we want our children, grandchildren to be able to prosper. Any disagreements to that?
Not at all.
Okay, so we're looking for you behind the camera. Whatever your view of the issue is, we need your engagement in the Abilene area to help growth happen here. Thanks for watching today. I'm Dennis Weiss. Thanks for being in our town.